Hello YouTube, my name is Nero. Today we have some more Call of Duty World at War multiplayer. I freaking love this game, man. Every time I get on, I just puts a smile on my face to go back in time and play this game. And I feel as though it's going to be a great backdrop for this video because we will be discussing Call of Duty World War II and the censorship of swastikas, as well as the implementation of female soldiers within the Call of Duty World War II multiplayer. Now, this information is actually going to be coming from an interview that Michael Condrey did with Eurogamer. There's going to be a link to that down there in the description, but it's a rather lengthy article, so for this video I would like to give you guys basically the bullet points of the article, but again, if you want to read the whole thing, go ahead and do so, but I'm going to try my best to cover the information that I feel as though you will be most interested in. So let's start things off here with the characters that we will be playing as in Call of Duty World War II. Michael Condrey did stress that the game's multiplayer is designed to put you into World War II, and you is whoever you choose to be. So to quote the article specifically, so if you're a female, or you want to play as a female, if you want to be any of the multinational cast of characters to represent who you are, to look up to and respect as your avatar, we want to give you that opportunity. Now, the challenge there, which is real, is half the time you'll be playing on the Axis team. That was a decision we made intentionally. We wanted to be you, and we're willing to have you be you, no matter what side of the conflict you're on. I'll come right through the front door on it. We know that didn't happen in the German forces. We know there was a lot of racism and racial tension in the 40s, so you wouldn't have a black German soldier fighting next to other Germans. We want this to be about you. We're not making a statement about the authenticity of the Axis force. We're making this about putting you in this social space and you into your soldier. And we want that to be rewarding and meaningful. I don't want it to be our decision to force you away from your character into playing a German soldier just because we put you on the Axis team. So, the team at Sledgehammer Games made a conscious decision to be as inclusive as possible with the Call of Duty World War II multiplayer, and I can definitely see both sides of this argument. One side is that Call of Duty is the biggest console gaming franchise in the world and has been for the past decade. Each and every year, regardless of your opinion on any individual Call of Duty game, they sell for tens of millions of copies, therefore tens of millions of people play each game that releases annually. I can see why they want as many people as possible to feel catered to and allow those players to be who they want to be within the game. On the other side of it, though, this is a World War II game that will be based off of actual historical events, and having people of all different races, colors, and creeds on either side of the coin isn't exactly true to history. If we're being completely honest with ourselves, the majority of the European theater, which will be the bulk of Call of Duty World War II, was just white guys fighting white guys, right? And I'm all for inclusion, but I'm also for historical accuracy. But at this point, Sledgehammer has made their decision. They've discussed it several times so far, and I'm kind of just left here with the feeling of whatever, you know? I mean, it is what it is. It was a tough decision. It was their call. They made their call, and hopefully it is good for everybody. Like, once we actually get our hands on the game, hopefully it is just what we all hope the game is actually going to be, and hope it doesn't feel too off-putting, I guess, to have all different kinds of people playing on all different factions within the game's multiplayer. We do know the Americans and the Germans are going to be the primary factions, but there's a chance we're going to see some stuff from the Japanese or even the Russians in there, because the multiplayer is confirmed to have multiple fronts, so we're going to have to see how that plays out. Another very difficult decision that they made over there at Sledgehammer Games was to not include Nazi iconography in the game's multiplayer or zombies modes. The campaign will in fact have swastikas at certain points when appropriate, because they wanted to tell a relatively historically accurate story within the campaign. The example they gave is you see swastikas like on TV and movies and stuff like that, so in the campaign, within the context of that, yes to swastikas, yes to Nazi iconography, but no to the campaign and to the multiplayer. In the article, Michael Condrey says, "In our global community of multiplayer and zombies players, we've chosen deliberately not to include swastikas. We want the community to play together. We want to be respectful of local customs and laws around the world, and frankly, it's a dark symbol with a lot of emotion behind it, and we don't feel it matches our multiplayer experience." This, of course, comes off the heels of a live stream where Michael Condrey basically basically said the same thing. I mean, for the game's multiplayer, they don't want to include such a dark symbol, and they don't want to have to make special censored versions of the game for specific areas of the world like Germany. I definitely have to question this decision a little bit. Michael Condrey says they don't feel as though that Nazi symbols match their multiplayer experience, but it is a World War II game, and the last World War II game that we had, which was 9 years ago, was Call of Duty World at War, and that game had Nazi iconography everywhere. If you were playing on a German map, there were giant swastika banners, the domination flags themselves had swastikas on them, and when you won a game, as the Germans, you literally heard a speech from Hitler.
Victory belongs to Germany!
Now, I don't want to come off as some sort of a pro-Nazi guy. It's so difficult to discuss the censorship in Call of Duty World War II because people can kind of like twist it and be like, wow, you don't want black people in the game, or wow, you don't want women in your game, or wow, you love Nazis. It's like, that's not really the thing. I'm more of a pro-historical accuracy and immersion kind of a guy, right? I feel as though that's where most people are coming from. I'm sure there are some scumbags out there that really just don't want black people in the game or really love swastikas and stuff like that. But I feel as though the majority of us just want the game to be historically accurate because this is going to be a game that is based off of World War II, which is a thing that actually happened. Call of Duty World at War is one of my favorite Call of Duty games for a number of reasons. The biggest one to me is that it was a World War II game that really allowed you to become immersed within the world. I've told stories in the past about how when I first started playing Call of Duty, I loved sniping. It was like my favorite thing to do. I was so bad at the game, but I would just like lay in bushes or random buildings and just hard scope random areas of the map and try to snipe people from as far away as I could. I've shown this spot before, but I would lay down in this flower bed on outskirts and just hard scope the church tower. And occasionally, I would snipe a Nazi out of the church tower with my Mosin Nagant while playing for the Red Army. And when stuff like that would happen, it would really, even though you're playing like an unrealistic game like Call of Duty, it would really put you in that world. It felt freaking cool, you know? I wasn't sniping a random German soldier. I wasn't sniping an Axis member. I was a Russian sniper like Vasily Zaitsev, and I sniped a Nazi out of the church tower, and that felt freaking incredible. So I want to have that same experience while playing in Call of Duty World War II. I want it to be immersive like it was back in Call of Duty World at War. If it's not immersive, I'm worried that I'm going to be playing the game and I'm going to be constantly reminded that I'm playing a game, which is the last thing you want while playing. If you think about it, if you're playing, the last thing you want is to like be constantly taken out. It's like having a movie that continues to break the fourth wall and continues to like have little errors and stuff like that within the filming process to the point where you're constantly aware that you're watching a movie or watching a play or so on. You want to be immersed within the entertainment that you are trying to consume, and that's what I want to have within Call of Duty World War II. My question is, why is it that in World at War, these symbols and names were fine, but they're somehow offensive now? Like, I get that as a society, we become more politically correct over time. I mean, some things that were commonplace back in the 50s and 60s just don't fly here in 2017, and that's for the best, honestly. But World at War, released in 2008, how much different is society now as compared to then? Like, why is it okay to have this stuff in the game back then as compared to now? Like, I get that we live in a world where people are super sensitive and they honestly look to be offended by things. Like, you see it all the time. Like, it's getting to the point where you can just point out the hypocrisy of these people most of the time. But who can be offended over a World War II video game that uses historical symbols under the context of historical accuracy? Who can be offended by that? Those same people would be offended by a World War II movie, a World War II play, anything within that with that narrative of World War II behind it, right? If you're worried about these symbols being illegal in different parts of the world, they could simply just replace those symbols within those parts of the world. It's not impossible, and it has been done in the past. Like, you have the Wolfenstein series, which, if you guys don't know, is an alternate history game where the Nazis actually won World War II. I've been meaning to play it. People say it's incredible, and plus it's World War II, so it sounds awesome. awesome, but I haven't played it yet. But still, they have the game full of swastikas everywhere because it's a game about the Nazis, but they also sell it in places where that symbol is illegal. So therefore, they just simply censor it within those regions. And it seems to be pretty easy if they can do it. I mean, Call of Duty has way more money than the Wolfenstein series. I feel as though they could pretty easily do this. Although I don't know the ins and outs in terms of multiplayer. Is it the case of if you live in Germany and the game is censored, can you not play with people where the game is not censored? Or is that a thing that happens like locally for you? Like, I can picture a situation where like a German guy wants to play with his buddies from the UK, but can't do that because, you know, he has a censored version of the game, whereas they have an uncensored version of the game. If that's an issue, then I can definitely see that being a problem. But just the game itself, I feel as though should try its best to be historically accurate. Like, I understand that as we go on, our society becomes more and more easily offended over everything. And I'm all for inclusion. I'm not all about stepping on people's toes or anything like that. But when we're talking about a World War II game or any World War II piece of entertainment, it's important to note that World War II is an actual event in human history, and you should show that actual historical event the way it actually was, with your own twist, of course, the twist being Call of Duty. Those are my thoughts and feelings, ladies and gentlemen. It's I could talk forever on this subject, and believe me, I think a lot of people are. I mean, so many people are talking about this particular subject, and I'd love to hear what you guys think down there in the comment section below. It's definitely not as cut and dry as some may say. There's definitely a lot of factors that go into it. At the end of the day, Call of Duty is a business. They are in the business of making money, and they want to be as inclusive to everybody as possible. So that's something to consider as well. But I would still love to hear what you guys think down there in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching. And once again, if you guys would like to check out the full interview, there's a link to that down there in the description. It's a pretty good read. Go ahead and have a look. I hope you guys will enjoy. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.